Hello, hello. This is a maths blast about for year six-ish, actually, maybe even some challenge year fives. Give yourselves a bit of a challenge, but it's the relationship between fractions and percentages. Now, I know decimals come into this quite a lot. They're often called FDP, fractions, decimals, and percentages, and they're pretty good friends and they hang out together quite a lot. But I thought it would be more simple to break it down. So for today, we are just doing fractions and percentages because it's really important to get the hang of that. So where do we start? We start with what is a percentage? And a percentage means percent means out of 100. Cent being quite often used across a lot of languages to mean 100, like how many cents are there in a dollar? There's 100. How many centuries do you score if you run? How many runs do you score if you score a century in cricket? It's 100. A century in years in history is 100 years. So cent just means 100. And if you can remember that, you'll remember that percent means out of 100. So whenever we write a percentage, we can actually think of it as a fraction out of 100. So just to give you an example, if I have 48%, then I can write that as a fraction as 48 out of 100, because that percent just means out of 100. Now, clearly that is not in its simplest terms, is it? I need to simplify that. And I can do that quite easily because they're both in the 2 times table because they're both even numbers. So divide by 2, divide by 2. Remember, you have to do to the top what you do to the bottom to simplify to find equivalent fractions. So half of 48 is 24 and half of 100 is 50. Can I go any smaller than that? Yes, I can, because again, I can halve them, can't I? So I can do 12 out of 25. Now, can we go any further than that? 12 and 25? No, we can't go any further than that because, no, that's in the 3s. No, that doesn't work. So that's the answer. 12/25 is the answer to that one. Now, that's 48%. Let's do another example of doing fractions into percentages, and then we'll flip it around and do the other way. So if I have, percentages into fractions. So if we had, say, 70%, okay? Now, 70% is the same as 70 out of 100. That's the very first thing you must do, is always just turn it into a fraction out of 100, and then you can simplify it. Now, I can divide both of these by 10, which is 7/10. We cannot go any further because 7 is a prime number, so I can't divide that any further. So you can just do whichever ones you want. If you wanted to do, let's do one of the most common ones that we come across is 25%. Now, 25% is 25 out of 100, okay? And they're both in the 25 times table. I can divide them both by 25, so I end up with 1 and 4, which is how we get 25% is the same as a quarter. And if we look at a very closely related one, 75%, turn it into a fraction out of 100 first, is 75 out of 100. Again, both in the 25 times table, I can divide that by 25 to get 3 and 100 by 25 to get 4. So 75% is 3/4. Okay, so that is hopefully just a really easy way to do it. But remember, you always just have to add in that extra step. Turn it into a fraction out of 100 and then simplify it. Now, flipping it round is pretty similar, as you would expect, pretty similar, but slightly different. So for example, if I have 2/5 and I want to turn it into a percentage, I need to turn that fraction, I need to go back the other way and turn it into a fraction out of 100. Okay, that's what it needs to be first. So equivalent fractions, what has happened to the 5 to turn it into 100? Well, 5 times 10 is 50, so 5 times 20 will be 100, won't it? So I've times that by 20, and then the 2 also needs to be times by 20, so 2 times 20 is 40. Now I've got a fraction that's out of 100, I can turn that into a percentage, 40 Okay, let's do one more example of those. Let's do 5/20ths. Okay, 5/20ths. Now the bright sparks among you might recognise that as one that we're more familiar with. But 5/20ths as a percentage is out of 100 as a fraction. So I need to times 20 by 5 to get 100. 5 times 5 is 25. So it is 25%. See, it would have been too easy if I just told you that that was 1/4, wouldn't it? But it is the same. Those are equivalent fractions. So 25/100ths is 25%. Okay, I'll just do one more of those because they're not always that straightforward. Let's do let's just take it one step further and do 9/15ths. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky because I can't turn 15 into 100 straight away, can I? Because 100 is not a multiple of 15. But what I can do is make this fraction smaller and then times it into 100. So I know that if I have 5 as the denominator, that does fit into 100. So I can divide by 3. Both of them divide by 3. So I can have a 5 at the bottom and a 3 at the top. Now we're on 3/5. Now I can change that into hundredths. Do you see? So I've just put an extra little step in there to make it into something that I can easily convert into hundredths. So again, 5 times 20. I'll just put these in here to help you because we times that by 20. So I must times that by 20. 3 times 2 is 6, times 10 is 60. So that is 60%. Okay? So it's not quite as straightforward sometimes as just multiplying that number into 100. Sometimes you need to find another number that you can divide it by, and then it'll divide into, and then it'll multiply into 100. So I hope that's helped you a little bit. Do ask if there's any questions. Yeah, I hope it's helped some parents as well. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time. Bye.